What is up, everybody? It is Alex from Heavy New York calling from the quarantine zone again, and this time we return with the brothers of Alien Weaponry. Great to be able to speak with you both again. Thanks for being here.
No worries, man.
Yeah,
Pleasure to be here.
yeah. As we were talking,
Same.
before I started recording, when I spoke to you at St. Vitus, it almost seems like a lifetime ago. I can't believe that was over 2 years ago.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean,
man, it's pretty wild.
Yeah,
quarantine's kind of put us in a strange situation where, it feels like any sort of touring we've done has been, you know, a very long time ago, which actually, and as a matter of fact, it has been.
yeah. I mean, are you guys still out in New Zealand right now? How's everything there? You guys are. I heard you guys are back locked down again.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
I mean,
so
we're in a level 4. I think there's a little bit of a delay, so Lewis and I are starting to answer the questions at the same time. Um, but yeah, I mean, we're in a level 4 lockdown here, which is, I mean, it's not the highest level, but it's pretty severe at the moment. We've got a bunch of new cases that have got out into the general community of the Delta variant, so that's just something we're dealing with at the moment.
Yeah, well, I'm sending you guys all my best wishes out there, and we hope to have you guys back in the States very soon. But on a more positive note, we've got a brand new full length Alien Weaponry album coming out very soon, which is pronounced Tangaroa. Did I say that correctly?
Tangaroa.
Tangaroa. Yeah.
Okay. But conceptually, did you just consider this a direct continuation of what we heard off of your last album, too, or was there like a new approach taken for this album?
I guess we kind of kept it alien weaponry, but we've definitely experimented with some new and different things. I think this album's a lot more progressive. We play around with some more traditional Maori vocal styles, like an ihinga. And yeah, there's some quite out there stuff that when I wrote some of these songs, I didn't quite think that we'd be able to even get them on the album, but people have everyone who's listened to it has seemed to like it so far.
Yeah. And do you think for the first two singles that we have off this album, is that a good representation of what the entirety of it is going to sound like, or is this just one little taste of what is to be on the album?
I think the album's kind of it's a little bit of a mix and match, but there is like this cohesive sound that we've got. But as far as how the songs are structured and the feeling of the songs, we're definitely exploring a lot of new places with this album. And I mean, just to kind of add on to what Lewis was saying before as well, I mean, thematically, we're still following that same kind of idea of naming the album after a Maori god. So Tu being short for Tū Mātauranga, which is the Maori god of war, and then Tangaroa being Maori kind of deity of the ocean.
Oh wow! So with Maury, with the Maury theme that you've always expressed through your music, so just because I've always been so fascinated about that with Alien Weaponry, because I feel like that your music has educated me just as much as it enlightened me. Like I've always enjoyed the music, but I've also felt very educated through it. So with these Maury gods, this is a polytheistic form of faith. So like, do you think that maybe you're gonna express a different god on every album in the future?
Um, to be
Yeah,
honest, I think
I'll
time
let
will
Lewis
tell.
talk about it.
We kind of don't really have a set plan for the future, because you know, I guess things change, people change, and I guess we kind of do whatever feels right. So it's a possibility, but it's not a given.
Okay. And one thing that I've always been fascinated with, because I know you express a lot of your own personal experiences, but there's also a lot of references through history. I forgot what song it was after two, but I know that there was one song that was based off of the Boyd Massacre, and I know that there was a couple of other songs that express, elements of history, but also elements of spirituality. Is there like a lot of research that goes involved to the making of your albums? Like, is there almost like, are you looking at other mediums of art, like such as visual art or literature, before going into the album to inspire you guys to write?
I mean, definitely, historically, if I'm writing about something that I feel like I don't know enough about yet to actually write a full song about it, I will go and research whatever event it is. I think the song you were talking about there was Kaifatu. Yeah, Kiri o Potato eating Carl Faulkner's eyeballs and drinking his blood. So, yeah, I mean, stuff like that where I didn't really have the full story told to me as I was growing up. I actually went and found out more about it and decided to, I guess, get the full scoop on it before writing a song. Because, yeah, I mean, when I'm writing a song, I do want things to be correct, and I'm a little bit of a perfectionist as well.
I could tell. And is the goal for Alien Weaponry? I'm sure I've asked this before at the Vitus show, but especially with this new album, I don't know if things may have changed. Do you try to inform the listener on the story as much as the music itself? Is like is informing a listener on the background of Maori culture and enlightening them on these different stories as much of a goal as it is to make the music appealing?
I mean, absolutely. I think, it really depends on the listener whether they're paying attention more to the lyrics or the instrumentals, but it's definitely a goal of ours. I would think it's possibly even a bigger goal than just the music side of things, because it goes so much further for us personally. So yeah, I think it's a huge part of the band and what we do.
Yeah. You wanted to add to that?
Me? Oh, no. Henry explained everything.
Oh, all right. Has there ever been a time though where your personal lives or your personal experiences? I mean, I know that you guys have. I think it's amazing that you guys, being the age that you are able to make such an impact on the world right now with your music. Has there ever been a time where maybe your personal life or your personal experience can also influence the lyrical theme or the ideas for the music?
Definitely. I mean, a lot of the songs on 2, and I think probably more so on this album, are actually, based on, emotions I'm feeling myself, about things that are happening in my life. I think that's where I draw a lot of, if not most of, my English lyrical inspiration from.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And kind of infusing it with your style as well. And I've always wanted to ask this too, because I've asked a lot of metal musicians when they kind of have like a specific theme for their music, like in terms of expressing the history of Maori culture into your sound. Have you always wanted to infuse it with metal, or the kind of a silly question, but why do you feel like metal has been the ultimate style to express your music? Because there's been hundreds of artists who bring their cultural backgrounds with multiple styles of music as well.
I guess when we started doing it, we didn't really set out to, make it a huge thing. It just kind of happened that way, We entered a competition called Smoke Free Pacifica Beats, which was actually like a sister competition of another one that we were entering called Smoke Free Rock Quest. And the idea of that competition was to incorporate your native language and culture into your music. And me and Henry, growing up, going to Kurakoupapa Māori, which is like Māori school, that had always been something that we'd been brought up with, and, our dad was really passionate about. So I guess we wrote a song in Māori, and we just wanted to see how it would go, see how people would react. And to be honest, I didn't really think people would, receive it well, or really, like resonate with it as much as they did. And we kind of had this overwhelming positive feedback from that. And yeah, we've just kind of kept doing it ever since.
And it seems like Alien Weaponry has been like the go-to name when it comes to the New Zealand metal scene. I mean, just because there's been so many great bands. Just a couple months ago, I interviewed the band Blindfolded and Led to the Woods, based out of New Zealand. And also, one of my favorite albums that came out last year was the Ulcerate album. I don't know if you guys checked that out yet, but that album is a sonic monster. How has the scene in New Zealand been over the last couple of years with so many new metal bands coming out? I've heard somebody call it the Oceanic Sweden at one point.
Yeah, I mean, New Zealand's like this kind of weird place where you don't exactly, like, when you're actually here, you don't expect there to be like this amazing scene. But, the more you get out there and do some digging and start going to shows, like there's some really amazing musicians over here. It's just such a hard place to break out of, that really for a lot of bands here, they never go into a past maybe Australia. So it's like we're a very kind of rich metal nation, I would say. Like, we've got some awesome bands, and I think there's definitely a lot more exploring that people should do of New Zealand music in general.
You guys were the first band from New Zealand that I ever interviewed, and I actually, just out of curiosity, after that, Googled bands from New Zealand, and I got like hundreds of results. I was like, holy crap. So
yeah, we're not actually just the Lord of the Rings, which is a lot of people are just like, in New Zealand, Lord of the Rings, right?
This is going to earn me a lot of dislikes on this video, but I've never seen a single Lord of the Rings movie in my life, so I didn't know.
Neither is my girlfriend, like, so that's all good.
What?
I said neither is my girlfriend.
Oh, okay, so I'm not alone. All right.
Yeah.
I've gotten into...
Yeah, I don't think mine has either, so...
I learned the hard way, never tell a person that when they're drinking, because it could get you in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, I did. 2 hours of being abused verbally, I would think.
Yeah, definitely. In addition, for this new album, you recruited a new bassist for this, and did maybe bringing in a new member on board also allow to bring some other additional elements into Alien Weaponry?
So Tūranga wasn't actually part of like writing the bass riffs. Ethan wrote all the bass parts, and he was there songwriting with us. Tūranga was involved in, there's a guitar part that he added, and he was jumping on with some backing vocals. So I guess next album's going to be the one that Too's going to, be there 100%, because he's probably only kind of had 10 or 20% input on this one.
Okay. And I'd imagine, too, that because now is the time more than ever, I think, in the history of mankind for heavy music, with the isolation and all the uncertainty throughout this pandemic, did maybe you guys get inspired at all to write some music pertaining to this?
Yeah, I mean, for us, I don't know, like something that focuses on the pandemic could be interesting. But again, it's like, I feel like people are so sick of hearing about the actual pandemic. Like, we'd have to mix things up and not actually be writing about the pandemic, but rather, specific things for us. I mean, a lot of our music comes from a place of emotion and things that we're passionate about. So For us,
I mean-
it'd also need to be something interesting.
Some of the songs were written, when this whole thing was starting, and it hadn't quite reached New Zealand yet, I guess. But I feel like in a way, some of those songs, I don't know, like Unforgiving could, have been related to how I was feeling about the current state of the world and where things were turning. But it's kind of hard to know sometimes.
Yeah, definitely. And you're right. I think like somebody even made a meme one time of where it was a heavy metal T-shirt saying, "I don't care if this song was about the pandemic or not," just because everybody in the world of metal was talking about it. But I thought that it almost seems like everybody had their own different experiences with it. I know people who were like enjoying the isolation and kind of were able to be creative as a result of it, and some people really were succumbing to madness as a result of it. So I almost feel like that there's multiple angles that it could be approached.
Yeah, I feel like it was a bit of both for me, honestly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
I feel like I've already succumbed to madness years ago, so.
Yeah, I didn't need the pandemic for that.
Yeah, well, isn't that why
Yeah.
we're metalheads? And the final question I wanted to ask you is because you guys have already played with like a variety of different styles of bands. Obviously, like the Ministry tour, which was a really, really unique lineup to be on. Ministry and Carpenter Brut. But then, like we have the tour scheduled with Gojira soon, which I think is going to be a completely different type of audience and a completely different type of fan base. And depending on like the tours you have been on or the festivals you've been on, have you noticed maybe different types of reactions or different types of responses to your music?
Yes and no, I guess. I mean, I feel like everywhere I go, metalheads kind of share the same views and values. I've never met a metalhead that's, come across as bad or egotistical or, anything like that. Like everyone kind of shares that passion for metal and kind of, yeah, it's hard to explain, but obviously like country to country, the cultures are different, the languages are different. And definitely there are certain spots where the crowds will go slightly harder than others and stuff.
Yeah. I mean, I think the pit was just as equally violent in St. Vitus as it was on that Ministry tour. But I will say that there was a couple of like old school industrial fans who like only liked Ministry from like the early like synth pop days. And when you spawned that mosh pit at Irving Plaza, people were pretty shocked. You definitely scared the crowd and left your mark in a good way.
Yeah,
So,
I mean,
we were really sick with like the flu or something on that show, actually.
yeah, that show was wild, actually. Like every single one of us could barely talk.
Really?
The New York show where we opened for Ministry, so yeah, like we were having to like push all our vocals out. Like it was insane. Like I think I was the sickest on that.
You know what?
And of course it's like a bad word. It's
yeah.
It sounds really weird now to say, oh yeah, I was at a show and I was sick and I just played the show. But yeah, back then.
We're talking in 2018, but
Yeah.
it makes sense because I interviewed Ethan on that show, and I was a little under the weather the next day, so I think now it makes sense now.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, man.
It was all good. It was
our fault.
It was a great show, and it was all worth it. But before we go, I want to thank you both so much for your time. It's great to be able to talk with you guys again, and thank you for giving us some new music to wait out the rest of these times with. Is there just anything else with Alien Weaponry that you would like to promote for the release of the new album? And we have the tour with Gojira scheduled so far, right? That's still in the books?
Yeah. I mean, so we've got our tour with Gojira starting mid-October. I can't remember the exact date, which is bad. But yeah, starting mid-October, we're going to be in the US until mid-November touring with those guys, and doing a few headline shows ourselves as well. So get your tickets for that. I know a lot of the Gojira shows have sold out. So yeah, they're pretty speedy tickets there.
Yeah.
And new album coming out September 17th. So
And for that Gojira tour, it would be great if Cavalera Conspiracy was on it too, and just call it the Brothers Tour. I think
oh dude,
yeah, I think you and
if only.
Gojira should fool the audience and make it like so you guys switch spots. You guys fill in for Gojira, they fill in for you.
Yeah.
Well, I tell you what, if that meant we had to play Gojira's songs, I think we'd be in a lot of trouble. A lot.
It is difficult music, but thank you guys so much, everybody. We are here with Alien Weaponry. Be sure to check out the new album coming out September 17th. This is Alex from Heavy New York, and we will see you next time.